Welcome to the Postgame podcast. Jerry is at Purdue with Rutgers, so Eddie Scozzare joins me. Good morning, Eddie.
Hello, podcast people and YouTube person.
Yes, YouTube person. I don't know if you heard any of the Postgame podcasts I did yesterday with Jerry, but I was wondering, were you aware that dogs can get venereal diseases?
Not specifically,
Yeah,
but I know they can get a lot of the same things that we humans get
yeah.
since we have sort of co-evolved for maybe 30,000 years.
So we co-evolved together. We get similar
Yes.
diseases.
hmm
I did not. I would say I would never have guessed that dogs could get a venereal disease.
Yeah, well, it follows. Yeah, I can
You could see
totally
that.
see that. Yes.
I was talking, I was Googling and listening to and seeing all sorts of various things about did I ever talk to you about the telepathy tapes that I was listening to? Is
Yes.
this idea that there's autistic people
hmm
who are nonverbal but can somehow read minds of people?
I don't know if it was you talking to me or you talking to Jerry, and I just was
Oh,
listening
okay.
back.
Yeah. So in this thing, they had talked about that there's some people who believe that dogs and their human counterparts have telepathy.
hmm
That there's an idea that your dog knows when you're coming home. Like, in other words, like your dog, my dog might know when we're walking, like mentally in our head, we're like, oh, I'm going to go home now. Let me go get my car. That your dog, all these miles away, is aware that this is happening. That
Well,
seems difficult to
yes,
believe.
and I would just say that dogs, much like humans, creatures of habit, and they know that sort of they have an internal clock. Whether or not they perceive time the way we do is
Yeah, we'll
debatable.
never understand that, will we?
But I think they kind of know that just like they know the time of day when it's time for a walk or time for a meal, that they will know this is the time when my human comes home, and so they're maybe looking for you to come home at that time. And some dogs may even know the sound of your car engine or something like that. So
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me that they're sort of anticipating your arrival.
So if your dog knows you're coming up the street, because I've been in the house where like Gina will come over,
hmm
and my dog knows when she's down Ocean Avenue, as she's 2 blocks from my house.
hmm
My dog will get up and look out, being asleep, get up and look out the
hmm
window, and then she comes and pulls up. So you think the dog is hearing that, sensing it another way, or smelling that?
Well, the dog could be smelling something that you are emitting. Like dogs know when you're sad because you're maybe giving off certain pheromones or something. And likewise, when you're anticipating Gina coming over, maybe your body is giving off a certain scent that the dog can pick up on. And it might be a specific scent to her rather than another visitor that you're giving off certain pheromones that the dog can pick up on. That nothing like that would surprise me.
But then other times, zero reaction whatsoever.
Mm.
Like she could pull up, park right in front of the window.
That's probably the times when we're like, "Oh god, she's coming over."
Yeah, it's strange. We do know about, or we hear about dog smells being
Mhm,
like however many times what a person
mhm.
smells.
Yeah, and their vision and hearing is the hearing picks up different frequencies than ours. I don't know if it's superior to ours in terms of its overall range, and I think their vision is similar to ours, but certainly the sense of smell is many times greater than ours.
But then if there's a bad smell, is that super intense to them, I wonder?
Well, yes, I would say, but dogs seem to enjoy stuff that smells foul to us, like,
Yeah, that's true.
dead animals and that sort of thing, rotting food. That is not
Yes.
offensive to them.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, that's probably, something with, you know, evolution and before they were domesticated, certainly their wolf relatives if they're looking for an easy meal, oh, there's a dead carcass of a deer or what have you. A winter kill that is now thawing out and stinking and rotting in the spring. Oh gosh, that's a free meal right there. So I think that's more to do with environmental and evolutionary pressures, where a sense of smell is an enhanced sense of smell would be a great benefit to the dog.
And I also wonder too, like if they have this superior sense of smell, why do they have to get right on top of the thing? Like we'll see another dog's poop.
Hmm.
My dog is
Yeah,
so
gets right
like
in
I feel
there.
like I
Yeah,
couldn't get a hair between
yeah,
her
yeah,
nostril
yeah,
and
yeah.
this poop.
I know.
And yet I don't see it on the nostril.
No, and it's all practice, I suppose. And also, like you were describing yesterday, they get right up into the other dog's butts and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
like right up against
So,
it.
yeah.
I always like it's always funny, like, when you'll see like a dog, if it's somebody who has like 2 dogs, you probably experience this. You have multiple dogs where like one dog is sleeping and the other dog's nose is by the other dog's butthole.
Hmm.
And you're like, if this dog farts,
Yeah. But again, those sort of offensive smells to us, they seem to sort of enjoy. And that's why like dog food has like an odor, which we're kind of like not necessarily disgusting to us, but it's a strong odor.
yeah.
And they seem to that increases their appetite for something.
Yeah, they like the idea of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I first got my dog and I was going on all these like forums for greyhound owners and things. And multiple people wrote about cooking lamb in their house
Hmm.
and their dog being very offended by the smell of lamb in particular,
Lamb.
like the dog looking scared, g- going as far away as possible in the house to get away from
Huh.
the smell of lamb
You would
cooking.
think that I would think that would be the opposite, where they would like that, or is this specific to greyhound?
It seemed kind of specific to greyhounds, but
Mm.
it's weird because some people do feed, and I know dog food is super processed junk probably, but they have lamb
Hmm.
flavor and
Sure.
lamb
Yeah, they
scented
do.
food, so I don't understand unless it's the baking technique of baking
Yeah,
fresh lamb that
I
throws
don't
them
have an
off.
answer for that. I know my one dog in particular, and this might be to some extent for all dogs. When I after I brush my teeth, he doesn't like to give me kisses. He doesn't like that mint
Throws
smell.
them off.
Yeah, it's something they do not enjoy.
So it's weird because I brush my teeth right before I come to work, and
Hmm.
I brush my teeth, I sit down to put my shoes on, and my dog is right up in my
Yeah,
lips.
yeah. Maybe it's particular to my one dog
Yeah.
or some dogs.
Do you think, dogs can sense paranormal things that we don't see,
If there are such things, I would say yes.
like ghosts
Yeah,
or
because you often see depictions in ghost stories or shows or movies where a child or an animal can see and sense a ghost
where we don't?
where we don't. So if there is such a thing, I would not be surprised if a dog could sense them. And animals can sort of sense when there's an impending earthquake
Yeah.
somehow, or other disasters, potentially storms. Much more sensitive to drops in barometric pressure, which indicates a storm, than we are.
You ever have your dogs where they're, like, unsettled and they're kind of like something's going on
Y-
outside, but
y-
there's nothing that you can see going on outside?
Well, the only time, well, some dogs, and I had my Harley when he came back to us. He wasn't this way when we raised him for the seeing eye as a puppy, but when he came back to us, he was always fearful of thunderclaps, and fireworks. And he's really the only dog I've had as an adult that has had that fear of the thunder. Um, and the only other time when all of the dogs were freaked out and scared was during Sandy, and that could have been because I wasn't home, my wife was alone. She's like, "What the hell's going on?"
Oh,
She
so
was
during the actual storm
correct.
itself.
Just she was scared, and that probably made them uneasy. And also that the wind noise was just horrific. So that's the only, but I didn't see that, but my
Yeah.
wife tells me that story often
So you
when
never had one where, like, everything's normal in the house, there's no storm, there's no anything, and one dog or more, I only have the one dog, so is like unsettled and trying to look out the window, and because I've had this every once in a while, this my dog will do this where she's walking around, she'll peek in, out the curtain and just not settled. And I've gone outside to look. I've taken her out
Mhm.
to look. And she doesn't go out looking like something's up. But when I bring her back in the house, she again is like
Hmm.
looking looking for something. And I don't know, that could be if that's an animal, a raccoon, a cat. Is
Mhm.
it a
Mi
sound in the distance?
mice in the walls.
Oh, mice in the walls. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
could be something like that, but, my the only one who has that sort of heightened sense of, like, wanting to look out the window all the time is my Raymond, but that's his breed. He's a terrier. They're
yeah.
more high-strung and more sort of hunter-killers and a little more of a guarding dog than the labs.
Yeah. Sometimes it's when I got this greyhound dog, they're a sight hound,
Mhm,
right? They chase that rabbit around the thing.
mhm.
But I didn't also realize that a hound is a hound and a hound is going to smell like this dog
Yes.
smells
Yep.
like a crazy person. And I never know. I'm trying to do the right thing by the dog, right? Because some people say this is how the dogs ease their anxiety. This is how they live in the world. They like to smell everything.
Mhm,
I see some people constantly pulling their dog, "Let's go, we're walking." And sometimes I do wanna be on a brisk walk or
mhm,
something. The dog's like every 2 feet stopping, stopping. And, I tend to let the dog just smell as long as the dog wants until it gets to a ridiculous
mhm.
amount of time, then I'll go, "Come on, let's move it
Yeah.
along."
And certainly hounds are gonna do have that nose to the ground a lot more
Yeah,
than other breeds because that's what they were specifically bred to do, was to track like that. But all dogs want to sniff when they go outside, and if I'm in the sniffing time, like, I'll move to a strip of grass or walk on grass, and then that kinda says, "Okay, this is your time to sniff." But then if I wanna get moving, I'll specifically walk in the middle of the road. So and I can do that in my neighborhood, it's not huge amount of traffic.
yeah,
And but if I wanna pick up the pace, I'll move to the
that's a good
cement, and
idea.
there's a lot less of things of interest of unless, of course, you see a roadkill or something like
Yeah,
that, but you can easily avoid that, it's easier to see,
yeah,
in the street. But all dogs want to, uh I don't know if I've said this phrase to you, read their P mail.
yeah, P-mail.
Yeah, so that's a big thing, and so you gotta obviously let them have that because that is a way, especially for my older dog who is, still hanging in there. She'll be 16 in July, had the stroke, the whole thing, and so for her, just mentally, it's we indulge her a lot more, or my wife does when because my wife usually walks her a shorter distance and goes slower, and then I'll take the boys out who are still more active, on a longer loop.
Yeah.
So, but you just try to have them enjoy their life.
Right, because they get enjoyment out of that
Sure.
smelling. Yeah, after it rains, I can't if my dog is even in the street, she is locked in on, like, the pavement, the wet pavement. Oh
Yeah.
my god. The smells must come out of
Sure.
the in the rain.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when the water seeps in, whatever's on the asphalt sort of gets lifted up and
Yeah.
a lot more interesting.
Don't you think we should know more about what dogs are thinking than we do now, like, in 2025 with all of the advances we have? I feel like we should really be to a point where we know for sure, like, you'll say this, like, we are talking about time, and you're right, like, people if someone's home, let's say that there's a your wife is home, she works
Hmm.
from home, you're not home. But every day you come home, let's say you get home at noon, and around 10 to noon, 5 to noon, your dog is locked in on the door, knows you're going to be coming home. Like, so we know that part. But we still don't know that if you go outside and take out the garbage and come back in, does your dog think you were gone for a long time? Or are they happy that, oh, he's not leaving for a long time?
Well, sometimes I'll say, I'll be right back. And if you repeat those words and the habit of just going out to put something in the recycle bin or to take out the garbage, bring the can to the curb, and you say, "Be right back," I think that they can pick up on that and know that it's not going to be a long time.
Yeah.
Now, if you leave the house for 3 minutes, they may not they may think, "Okay, he'll said be right back." But anything longer than that, I don't know. I think it might be the same as 2 hours, 4 hours to
Like if you went out to the supermarket and came back.
correct. That could be the same to them as me going to work and being out of the house. Like, I don't know how they experience the time. And you're talking about, being able to understand or read the dog's thoughts. Well, we can't read our own human
Yeah.
thoughts, to sort of translate brain waves to either pictures or words as to what somebody's thinking. And by the way, that ain't a great idea, you know?
Reading thoughts.
Yeah, like, if you're walking down the street and you see an attractive woman,
Yeah, no.
what are you thinking? And then if you want them and everybody hearing that?
You do
No,
not know.
that's not a good thing. So, and obviously humans have language, so we can speak, and dogs have a limited language and can understand a limited amount of human vocabulary, but to actually sort of clue into a dog's brainwaves, I don't know if that's on the table.
Is there a thing if you could pick one thing where you'd say, "I wanna know exactly what my dog is communicating when they do this." Is there something either of your dogs does that they're clearly trying to communicate to you and you don't understand what that is?
Um, no, I know that look when they, they want to go outside or they want their dinner, and they obviously always try to push the mealtime up, and earlier is better. Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything, you know, no, not really. I mean, just when, like, I would like to know, like, when they're sort of sitting on the couch or snuggling up in bed or whatever, like to say, are they as happy as I think they are doing this activity?
Yeah.
Does that contact make them as happy as it makes me? Just to be with your dog. Yeah, I would like to know that,
Yeah.
because to me, I'm thinking that they're happy because it's not like I force them to come up. I'll ask them. I'll say, hey, come up. But so I would think that is something that they like, but to know that would
You would
be,
like to know.
yeah.
Yeah, my dog does this weird, whining thing, when so, this dog is not food motivated.
Mhm.
So I have to just leave food at all times
Right.
because at some point she'll decide I'm going to eat.
Mhm.
So there's always food in that bowl. She does this thing when she is going to eat where she first, even though the food's there already, the water's there, everything's there, she will first whine in her bed, whining, and looking at me before she eventually goes over and eats the food. And I
Hmm.
don't know what that communication
Yeah.
is.
That would be, yeah, that's a
It's
curious one.
very puzzling.
Do you know in her previous life when she
Yeah.
was in the kennel racing, and I am assuming they were kept in a kennel
Yeah,
of
they
some
were
sort.
kettles, yeah.
So was it a group feeding? Like, or did she get her meal in her own private little cage or
Yeah, that's a good
den?
question.
Because I know my Raymond, I know he's not as food motivated as the labs, but he eats just as quick as they do because he knows that he's gonna get knocked off his bowl if he
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
And he doesn't go and look to knock the others off the bowl, but the others, well, not Quail anymore because she's old, but Cooper for sure. If Raymond didn't finish first, Cooper would be on it.
Really? So
Yeah.
he's gotta eat fast just to keep up
Yeah.
and not have his
And
food
I
stolen.
wonder if Whimsy, like, how she was fed, and if here's a solution if you wanted to eat quicker, Al, get another dog.
That would do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would do it.
but get like a food motivated
Yeah,
dog.
it's like a jacked up food,
Yeah.
put anything that's what I thought all dogs were before I got
No,
this dog.
uh-uh,
I thought all dogs,
no,
no matter what food you put down, they were eating it.
no. Well, certain breeds, yes,
Yeah,
but not, like shepherds I know can be picky
really.
eaters. Yeah,
Yeah.
certain breeds.
Yeah, especially if there's no competition in the house.
Yeah. They're like, "Yeah, it'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll get to
He
it.
ain't
I'm
taking
not
that
hungry."
away. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Man.
labs are like just voracious eaters. Will actually eat till they hurt themselves,
Yeah.
just
I've seen
gorge
some of
themselves.
those things where it's they put the food in this contraption that makes it harder to get to the
Yes,
food,
I
right?
have one of those for
What is that
Cooper.
called?
Like a, I forget the name. It's just like a slow bowl.
It's
I
like a
forget.
feeder puzzle or
Yeah.
something.
Well, there's those ones where it's for sort of as a, like a toy or a mental exercise where you put like a piece of kibble in this thing, they
Oh
gotta
yeah, they
turn
gotta
it
get
and
to
they'll
it.
fall
Yeah.
out. But they have the slower bowls where it has ridges in it, so
Yeah.
it's harder for because if a dog eats too fast, they can get that stomach torsion.
Yeah.
So we got that. We had one for Harley because he ate too fast, and for Cooper also. So he just has to slow down. And a cheap solution to that instead of buying a special bowl, which is not that expensive, but you just get a big rock and put it in the bowl so they have to sort of eat around the rock. That's just a simple
Yeah.
life hack, cheap version of just go get a big rock and put it in their bowl.
I saw a funny video online of a dog approaching his bowl that was one of these bowls you're talking of. The dog picked up the bowl and flipped it, and then the food went all over
Right.
the
And
floor, and then there's woof.
yeah, but that still is
Right, spread out.
it's gonna slow same thing. So he thought he thought he beat the system, but he really didn't.
Right, he thinks he won though.
But that's a smart dog
Yeah,
to
he's
do
like,
that.
"Whoosh," like
Yeah.
flip this bowl,
Yeah.
get this going.
You jerk. But then
Trying to slow roll
some
me.
of it goes under cabinets
Yeah,
and stuff,
and
and
then
then
then the bugs get it.
yeah,
The mice in the walls
the mice.
situation. All right, Eddie, let's do the warm up show. I
All
did
right.
that with CeeLo.
Yes, you did.
Now Jerry's back tomorrow, but I believe he's hosting.
He's hosting, but he
No,
will not do
he
the
does. He
warm up.
doesn't normally do the warm up in that
CeeLo is in
situation.
tomorrow, I
CeeLo.
know.
Oh, I'll do the warm up with CeeLo.
And then the post game with him,
Mhm.
and Jerry's in the rest of the week.
And away we go.
Yes.
Super